this isn't a topic that's going to go away. It's not something that's going to just disappear because you wanted to. The sooner that you accept that, the more that you can incorporate it into your work. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Actually Good Coffee podcast, the show where we talk about all things coffee related, all while I drink a cup of coffee. This past week, we sold 830 pounds of coffee total. If we're looking at last year's previous, we sold 571 pounds. Pretty rough week that past year, but this year we definitely got our numbers up. Today, we're going to be talking about super automation within the coffee industry. This is a topic that seems to be increasing in popularity as we progress through the years over this past decade especially. This is not really a question anymore. I would say it's really just a matter of how soon or how late. I think that's with most industries. I think that's just the world in general, to be honest with you, but especially within a setting like a coffee shop, because it just seems to be the most realistic case where something like this is going to come into play. Maybe not people are going, I wouldn't say that people are going to be pushed out of the industry as a whole within coffee shops. I think it will get to a point relatively soon that you will, we're already at that point. There are actually coffee shops that do this now. You don't need a barista anymore. You can just go to a coffee shop, press a button, pay, and you get your coffee. So I'm going to go through just what that might look like. So this is an article by Perfect Daily Grind. Over the past decade or so, specialty coffee has clearly embraced automation, technology that was once considered to minimize the craft and skill of making coffee is now accepted as a barista's best friend to assist them in their job roles. Even more recently, however, has been the resurgence of super automatics. Not only have these machines now made their way into the World Latte Art Championship, more and more barista champions are endorsing them as a way to produce excellent coffee too. But skepticism still remains. While some see using super automatic machines as a way for baristas to fully engage with customers, others believe we risk diminishing or losing the art and science of preparing coffee. So that's what's interesting about the specialty coffee industry, is because essentially you're paying for a better product and you're also paying for the experience that comes with it. There's a whole science behind a pour over, an espresso shot, cold brew as well. As it gets more popular, unfortunately, it's going to bring in that crowd that's not going to appreciate that art, which is fine because that's how everything works. It's how when a new band gets popular and people don't appreciate where their music originally came from. They're just fans of where they are right now. When coffee lovers come into the specialty coffee industry that we're buying from 7-Eleven or Starbucks or Wawa, they don't care about the art of it. They just want to get their product and get out as quickly as possible because they have a job to go to. And that's just how it is. It's not necessarily good or bad, I wouldn't say. I think that's just the reality of the situation. And again, just something that you have to embrace. Either way, this technology opens up a whole new world of possibilities for specialty coffee, including making it much more accessible. But could this compromise the industry in any way? So EverSys is the company that's really spearheading this idea. That coffee shop that I mentioned that is fully automatic, I believe they use EverSys machines. I'm gonna do a quick Google search. Bot Bar Coffee. It's this fully automated coffee shop. I believe they have like one or two workers here, but essentially you go in, you press a button, and you get your coffee. Again, what I was saying before was EverSys. This company is the manufacturer that is really spearheading these ideas. And I've tasted coffee that comes out of an espresso machine. They're pretty good. They have it dialed in. The difficulty with espresso machines especially is that there's so many variables. So the way that I like to look at the process of getting a coffee to the customer is it starts at the farm. There has to be the correct practices. Then it goes to the roaster. The roaster has to do a good job on his end or her end, and then it goes to the actual coffee shop itself. And the barista is essentially like the last line of defense of getting the product to the customer. I would say it's arguably the most important part, because that could spoil the entire process, and everybody else's work is for absolutely nothing because you didn't calibrate the grinder, or you didn't pull out the espresso shot correctly, you didn't steam the milk properly. There's steps that you could have done better that could have provided, and paid respect to the work that has gone into providing that coffee and getting it to you at that point. That's the difficulty, is how do you instill that importance within the people that are serving your coffee, especially when you're a third-party roaster selling to a coffee shop that has no other connection with you besides buying their coffee. So automation is what seems to be that solution. Automation isn't an entirely new concept when it comes to espresso machines, however. Since the introduction of digital temperature controllers in the late 1980s, baristas have been able to precisely control brew temperature, which has a massive impact on flavor and quality. In recent years, super automatics have become much more widely embraced in specialty coffee. The reason they didn't want to use automation within the coffee industry is because all of these machines sucked. That's what happens. When you first introduce an idea, the product is terrible. Nobody wants to use it, especially in a commercial setting. Some people buy it for their house because they want to show off to their friends that come over for the weekend that they haven't seen in a year, and they want to prove in a way that's simple and easy that they're doing well for themselves. So what better way to do that than by pouring them shitty coffee out of their super automated coffee machine? But now they've seemed to get the formula right. I would use Eversys. I would use it for my clients. I would suggest it for my clients that I know aren't going to upkeep the right practices that you need to in order to pull a good cup of coffee. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's just the reality of some situations. And I think for some places, like if it's a restaurant, especially where, you don't have a barista on staff, the priority is not going to be the espresso shot that you're pulling. And in that case, I think that's where an Eversys really makes a lot of sense. Restaurant, hotel, different things that aren't just a coffee shop especially. I have a friend that actually works over there. His name's Mark Hundley. What he talks about is even with this super automation and this less workload that's put on the employees, they're still having trouble with the machines. What'll happen is these machines actually have a detection in place when a piece is going to break within the machine. They send an alert out to their tech, and that tech comes out or ships the part out to that client, and they can replace that part within the machine. But what they're finding is the employees are still not doing enough on their ends to upkeep the machine. They're not doing the daily breakdowns. They're not cleaning the screen within the group head. There's like a screen that essentially disperses the water evenly. People aren't doing that properly. They're still having a lot of problems within these products. Maybe I should have Mark on here. That would be a good person to have. If this episode does really well, I'll reach out to Mark and see if he wants to do this, and we'll see what happens. Moreover, super automatics also will allow also precise control over a number of variables, including dose, yield, time, temperature, grind size, flow rate, and pressure. That's crazy. That's really impressive. Might not sound that impressive. Does that sound incredibly impressive to you? I know. I can imagine. A number of seasoned coffee professionals and competitors have become brand ambassadors for machine manufacturers, including the 2023 World Barista Champion, Borum, who recently became the global brand ambassador for Eversys. So that's how this works. When a manufacturer or a brand starts taking off, they look to these barista competitions or these roaster cups, and they sponsor these essentially superstars within the coffee industry to sponsor their products so it gets more recognition. And especially with a brand like Eversys that already has a rock solid foundation, you don't need to do much to get that marketing out there. And I'm sure the people that win these competitions are happy to work with them now, especially at this point. Dale Harris also highlighted the evolving role of baristas, emphasizing presentation, storytelling, and coffee knowledge, while also showing that technology and human elements can coexist harmoniously. So essentially, the focus is getting shifted towards the presentation and the education within the industry rather than the performance itself. And that's what's moving over to the automation side of things. As a result, Andre says more and more high-profile baristas have started to recognize the potential of super automatics, especially in terms of ensuring consistency, quality, while allowing them to focus on delivering exceptional experiences. So what are my thoughts on this? This is a reality. It's something that's going to happen. I know people hate AI and automation, and it's a really terrifying thing. I get that. I feel, there's obviously a part of me that feels the same way, but this isn't a topic that's going to go away. It's not something that's going to just disappear because you want it to. The sooner that you accept that, the more that you can incorporate it into your work if you're involved within the coffee industry, but really any industry in general, because that's just what I believe is going to be the reality. So thank you for listening. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you guys again very soon.